Direct from Foxborough, Massachusetts, the gem of Norfolk County, and taped at the studios of Foxborough Cable Access. It's Foxborough Central, and here's your host, Bob Hickey.
And welcome to another great episode of Foxborough Central. I am Bob Hickey. I am your host, and thank you for taking a little bit of time to join me and my guests as we talk about the people, events, and organizations that make Foxborough the gem of Norfolk County. Why do we say it's a great episode? Because they're all great episodes, because I get to talk to really great people. And my guest today falls in that category, Joe Rilanitis, Major, retired, who is with the Food and Drug Administration. Joe, thank you for taking the time to come down to Foxborough.
Mr. Hickey, it is always an honor and an enlightening experience to be with you.
Well, I don't know how enlightening it is, but I thank you for the compliment. Now, Joe is the Public Affairs Specialist and Native American Outreach Coordinator for the Worcester office of the Food and Drug Administration. So, big title, but what does it really mean?
Well, getting the word out and coming here to Foxborough, this is a gem of Norfolk County, and this is one of my favorite cable TV studios. You're going to be one of my favorite hosts, I'll tell you that. Challenging. Yeah, it's just getting the message out, really.
Well, I love it when a resident of Worcester is able to come here and remind me that Foxborough is a gem of Norfolk County. So it either means that I said it enough time where I've beaten in your brain, or that Foxborough really is a cool place.
It's a pretty town.
It is a pretty town. And, you know, it's also a place where we fall between two major cities, well, three major cities if you take Worcester into consideration, Worcester, Boston, Providence. And if you think about it, it sets us up to where we've got certainly the access to the urban flair, to the city issues, but we also are a fairly rural area. We're a suburb, but we also have farms. We also have an NFL team. Not many places can, hold to that. So we have a unique setup here that exposes us to a lot of things and makes it where a hodgepodge of information from the Food and Drug Administration would probably be helpful or educational to my viewership. So today, you at home are going to be the recipients of rapid fire FDA issues.
Okay, 70 million American homes have dogs. 74 million there are 74 million cats in the country.
Dogs and cats.
And the FDA is concerned about that.
Why would the FDA be concerned about dogs and cats?
Because we have a little known directorate called the CVM, Center for Veterinary Medicine. We approve pet medications, pet foods. We make sure labeling is okay on pet foods and so forth and so on. And we want your pets to be healthy. We want you to take time to be an advocate. When you give medications to your pets, they don't talk like we do. But they have a message anyways. So you need to ask questions to your vet as to dosage levels. You know, how much of a medication you should give. Should you give the medication before your pet eats or after the pet eats? What are the signs and symptoms if the medication isn't working? If the pet is not doing well with the medication? You've got to be your pet's healthcare voice, you might say. So we approve the medications and the foods. We make sure they're good to go. But your Foxborough residents, need to work with your vet and work with your pet to make sure it's all done right.
Now we have a number of really good. We have Dr. Bess. He's retired, but the Foxborough Animal Clinic. And what I'm trying to say is that we have good care here in Foxborough, and then there's an animal shelter in Mansfield, and so there's pets available for adoption. And we have an animal control officer here in town who does a good job of maintaining the peace, if you will. So what role does the Food and Drug Administration play in all this?
Well, we want to make sure that the medications that these people use, that your viewers use, are understood, are given appropriately. Mm-hmm. If there are mistakes, you can report the mistakes, in pet foods to the FDA. We want, people love their pets. They really do, Bob. They're just a huge part of the scene. They're never going to go away. We are a pet-friendly nation.
I don't think I really fully understood that the Food and Drug Administration cared about my pets, though.
We do.
That's great, by the way. That's great.
We do. We really do. And I remember way back when I first came to the agency years and years ago, I got a chance to tour the different directorates, the Center for Drug Evaluation and Center for Food Safety. And I remember one day going into a small directorate down in Rockville, Maryland, which was the CVM. the Center for Veterinary Medicine.
Really?
And it was a small, not largely staffed, but these people were competent and they knew what they were doing. And they took pet care and pet medication, pet food labeling and pet food quality really, really seriously. I said, these people are my type of folks. They really are. Because I have a couple cats. I love small animals. And it's nice to know that in a big government agency, we look at your pets and their health and take it really to heart. We really do. So that's where we stand in all this, pet health, pet awareness, and quality of life for these small fuzzy characters that make up such a big part of our world.
Now, I seem to recall that there was, and I'm going to make the assumption, but I'll ask. I think there was an issue of pet food being imported from China.
Correct.
And was it the Food and Drug Administration that had to deal with that issue?
Wow, how you remember? Yeah, that's institutional knowledge, Bob. It really is. It was melamine, which is like a commercial chemical that happened to be in some of the imported materials from China back in 2007, I do believe. Okay. Really tragic because it was caustic and it was poisonous. And a lot of pets in this country that ate that as part of the food ingredient died because of it. And really? It was a tragic moment. It really was, and it re-emphasized the need for more vigilance in the materials that we imported from a foreign source. And so once again. You learn by these tragic mistakes. And thanks for bringing that up. I hadn't thought about that for a long time. I really hadn't. It was a very bad moment in pet care history, and it made us much more aware of where we stood and where the nation stood on protecting our pets.
But that fell under the purview of the Food and Drug Administration.
Did, yeah.
Because of that, more work has been done, and it makes it a safer food supply for our pets.
You learn, yeah, exactly. Well said, and yeah, it just drove home the message of food safety, not only for people but for small animals as well. And you can take that a bit further. People, pet medications, all medications are expensive. Pet medications fall into that category as well. People now go online to buy their pet drugs as well.
Interesting, and that'll segue us into some other topics.
It will.
But with going online to buy pet products, an opportunity to buy medications, pet medications, and human medications over the internet from non-U.S. sources.
Correct.
Canada, Canada, for example. Mexico.
Neighbors to the north.
Sure.
Yeah.
So what are some of the risks and joys of doing that?
Well,
it's cheaper, right?
It can be.
It's got to be cheaper.
It can surely be cheaper.
Because of all that nasty government regulation that forces up the U.S. drugs to unsustainable heights where we cannot, as a citizenry, afford to buy medications.
I didn't say that, but
I'm making a decision to either pay my mortgage or have medication.
Oh my God! Now I'm really.
So I'm gonna buy Canadian or Mexican medications, right?
You got to be careful.
And they're safe.
Well, they can be.
They come in a bottle. They've got to be safe.
No, not always.
No.
We can't do.
This is my way of segueing. So hit me with it.
Great segue.
Thank you.
We can't guarantee safety of foreign medications on the internet. We can guarantee safety if you buy from certain sites. You might talk with your vet. Your vet might buy medications online, and he or she knows where to go because they're in that environment.
Is there a way? Is there a labeling? Is there a certification system to know that I'm getting something that's safe, that's regulated, that has regulatory oversight by the FDA?
I love that word, regulatory oversight, Bob. I really do. Yes, nicely put.
Well, you work for the government. I would hope you know.
It just really gets my heart going here. A VIP site, Verified Internet Pharmacy Practice Site, VIPPS, Verified Internet Pharmacy Practice Site. You can get that for human medications. If that's the opening page on your website, good to go. The regulatory oversight's there. They follow the rules. They have a doctor on site that can help you, guide you along, and they play by the rules, and they're safe medications. You can also get that for pet medications. A VIP site for pet medication guarantees that you have safe pet medications at a good price and a good variation if you want to buy on the internet. So there you go.
So as we talk about this, and we do segue into human medication, and again, this is high alert, fast action, many topics.
This is.
So we're
I
gonna
love
we're
it.
gonna touch a lot of different things, but if you missed that and missed what a VIP is, you would go to your website, which is www.fda.gov.
Correct.
It's a very, very robust site, and there's a lot of super cool information out there. Much of it is related to topics I hadn't even thought of. As I was perusing the site the other day, I started going down certain paths, and I started getting interested in reading. I thought, wait a second, I'm supposed to be researching for this program, not for that program, which isn't even a program yet. So anyway, I do hope you'll come back at some future date, because I've got a ton of questions and a ton of topics.
I love this place.
So, and we love having you. So I'm with Joe Rilanitis, who is our regional representative for the Food and Drug Administration. And now we're going to talk about human drugs, purchasing over the internet, issues that are affecting medications today.
Opioids, painkillers, Vicodin, Percocet, big thing.
They're all good.
You know what, they work, and we have access to them.
And they're stronger now than ever before.
They are. They're powerful. They're approved by the agencies. Safety.
And the access is more available than ever before.
It really is. The people are prescribing these. But
the risk for abuse is higher than ever before.
I wish I had said that. There's a downside to everything, isn't there? Can't always be fun. Yeah, 20,000 deaths every year, some 400,000 emergency room visits for people that are getting access to these high-powered painkillers, these opioids that are really out there. They're being prescribed. They have a role in healthcare. But you know what? When we're done with them, or when we haven't finished using the entire prescription, where do they go? They're not discarded.
We're guilty of that. I'm guilty of that.
They're in your medicine cabinet.
I just recently threw away a huge bottle of what is that stuff?
OxyContin.
Yes, thank
you. Did.
Well, I fell off a ladder 14 years ago.
Ouch.
And I still had I never took the medication. I took one. It didn't make me feel good. I didn't like the way it felt, so I didn't take any more of it.
All right.
And I just recently threw it away after 13 years.
Okay.
So there is a lot in our medicine cabinet that could be
a lot
could be what?
A lot of bad
what could
stuff.
happen?
Yeah, could be abused by young people. I
Yep.
know that young people, they're looking for the thrill of a painkiller. You get 12 million people in 2012 indicating that they were using or abusing opioids.
12 million.
Yeah, young people, or people in general abusing opioids that they found in medicine.
Staggering.
It's a lot of people.
That's a staggering
And
number.
it's there. People don't always use good sense, so they use these painkillers for other than the intended use, for just the thrill or the feel of a Vicodin or a Percocet. And you need to clean these things out. As you're a poster guy, Bob, for good behavior when it comes to medicine cabinet policing. You really are.
Not so good if it took me 13 years to figure it out.
Yeah.
Luckily, I've got two good kids who didn't get
There you
into
go.
the medicine cabinet.
Found a
but it
way.
was certainly available to them.
Sure, it's there. It's there. And people get these prescriptions. They don't use them. They don't feel good about them. And instead of tossing them out, we have drug turn-in days, and I'm sure Foxborough may have that too, where you can just bring unused medications to a designated drop-off point, no questions asked, and you leave it there, and it gets taken care of that way. Every year we have that in the country, and thousands of tons of medications are turned in, but at the same time you have people still abuse these things. So clean out your medicine cabinet.
And on a local level, if that information, of course, would be available by contacting our Board of Health. You can call them at Town Hall at 508-543-1200. But at a federal level, with the Food and Drug Administration, how do you support the local communities in that? Do you give them information? Do you give them support?
Sure. We're sort of the top of the pyramid as far as knowledge and understanding goes. We, on great shows like we have right here in Foxborough, this is great. You guys give us a place to stand. I mean, we can talk this all the time, but unless we get out there and get on, cable casts and cable programs with hard driving guys like you that ask me the questions I need to get out there, it doesn't happen. We don't get the message out. So, sometimes it's interesting being here.
Well,
the curveballs are always appreciated, Bob.
Well, curveballs I have. Let's pull another one out of the old ball bag here.
All right.
All right, here's the wind-up and the pitch. Medication is an issue. Medication cost is a huge issue. As an adult, and we talked about this, touched on it briefly with the animal medications.
Sure.
But there's so much opportunity to get cheaper medication by going to an internet website. And you had talked about what is the acronym?
The acronyms are all over VIPS, Verified Internet Pharmacy
So I don't go to
Practice Site.
VIPS, but I go and I get my medication. It's all I can afford. I need to get this medication. I'm going to take the chance. I'm going to take a risk. How big of a chance is it? How big of a risk am I really talking about? Is this just a bunch of nanny boo-boo from the government, or is there a significant issue?
That's a good question. It is.
And nanny boo-boo, by the way, is a technical term. It's highly technical.
I noticed that.
Okay, I'll be
It's
happy
good.
to explain it at a later date if you need me. But
Yeah, over coffee and lots of it. Well, you know, you
I'll drink to that.
owe it to yourself to do the right thing. And we, as we talked earlier, the VIP site is the right thing on the internet. Internet is the wild west of marketing. You know that as well as I do.
anybody can be there, and just because you read it on the internet doesn't necessarily make it true.
Nicely said. There's so much out there.
Wikipedia is a cool site, but
it's-
it's not a reference source.
It's somewhat abstract and occasionally inaccurate. So we can't guarantee regulations and oversight if you're not buying from a VIP site. We can't do that. And we have traced back in studies that the FDA has done before on medications that come down from our northern neighbor, Canada. And we have, and Canada's a sophisticated, Renaissance type of nation with great regulations and laws
And being such a great nation, they make all their own medications and they regulate it. So anything you're buying from a Canadian firm comes from Canada. So there's a huge medication laboratory in Vancouver that's making all this, right?
Devil's advocate here. Right? No, not right at all.
No.
That stuff could come from a third world nation.
Okay, so now that's called a softball.
Thank God for that. It makes me look good. I like it. I love it. These drugs could come from a third world producer that doesn't have good manufacturing programs and processes, don't have any regulations. It could be contaminated, mislabeled. It could be expired. It could be a counterfeit medication. So we can't guarantee the quality from a lot of these websites unless you buy from a VIP site.
So it is important to do that.
It's truly, Bob, if there's one thing we got to drive home right now, buy from the right sites on the internet. It really is. Safety is an important thing. You don't want to injure yourself by buying cheap medications. You don't want to do that.
And part of it also is know your source. And with any internet purchases, you don't necessarily know what the source is because anybody can slap up a website. And I'm not at all denigrating any medication sales sites, but I'm only pointing out that we do know you create a relationship with your local pharmacist. Even if your local pharmacist is the Stop and Shop, you know the people who work there. You can identify with them. They know you. You can talk about possible medication interactions. You get a printout. You get service, and you can ask questions. You don't get that with an internet site. And so, not saying one is better than the other, but of course I am saying one is better than the other. There's great benefits to shopping local and knowing who you're purchasing from.
Regulatory oversight, really. Yeah, you really want that. You want that rapport. You want to buy medications that work, that are safe. You want to have someone you can ask, as you said earlier, for clarification. So it's, think it through. Do the right thing.
I liken it to getting your medical advice from WebMD. It's a great site, and it's pretty fun to read for questions and answers. But it absolutely cannot replace your local physician or nurse practitioner for your annual physical.
Never will.
I just cannot imagine somebody seriously going to WebMD and say, oh, I've got a pain in my side, what should I do? And then taking that advice and just going on with it. It just doesn't make sense. And so if you're buying it from an internet site, you let the buyer beware, which is unfortunately something that seems to be forgotten these days.
There are limitations on a website. There are
limitations. Sure. Joe Rilonitis, representative of Food and Drug Administration for our region. If I go to my local pharmacy and if I stick my arm in the blood pressure kiosk and it tells me that my blood pressure is wicked cool, am I all set to go? Guaranteed.
Wicked cool.
Go.
You might not be. Nicely, I'm glad you got to. This is a real issue right now. We're looking at these little fast-moving kiosks, which are everywhere. Pharmacies, retail stores, big box stores. They're all over the place. But one blood pressure cuff, Bob, is not good for everybody.
How can that be? It's a blood pressure cuff.
Yeah, I know. Someone's got to bless it somewhere.
The advertising, it's written right on the side of the machine. Check your blood pressure here for free.
Monitor, yeah,
it's
exactly.
It's got to be good.
Well, we would think it would be, but different size cuffs give you different readings. Too tight, you may get an inaccurate reading. Not tight enough, your reading just goes south in a hurry. So that's why you can't take this to the bank. You really can't. You can't buy off on a kiosk as being the way to check. And you may feel good for the moment because you got a good reading, but it may be an inaccurate reading. And you're not really probably a medical practitioner, so you may not adjust the cuff properly on your arm, and once again, a bad reading. Blood pressure needs to be monitored. If your doctor is giving you guidance there, do it at your doctor's office under the guidance of a licensed nurse practitioner or your MD or someone on staff who knows what they're doing. The kiosks don't work for everybody. You're not always going to get an accurate reading, and that could be dangerous too.
So I shouldn't hang my health peace of mind on a kiosk site.
I'm afraid not, Bob. Don't do it.
Well, don't be afraid, Joe, but it's a good message.
Okay. Yeah, so just be careful. Buyer beware again.
Buyer beware.
Sure.
And with the current laws on the books as far as health insurance and the requirement that your annual physical is covered at 100% with no copay, it seems foolish not to take advantage of that in the current environment. And who knows how long it's going to last, but with Obamacare and the current iteration, it is it's a covered service. And so to get an annual physical, there's no harm and no risk, and there's a great upside to doing it, I would think, in addition to getting an accurate reading. I donate blood, and I get an accurate reading every time I donate blood. So I feel as though I've got a good take on my blood pressure, and I'm feeling very confident in my blood pressure. But I also know that the nurses at the American Red Cross who do my blood pressure are paid professionals, and they know what they're doing. So the blood pressure reading they're giving me, I have a lot of confidence in.
And well, you should.
As well I should, which is a great service, by the way. And the the kiosks. So from a regulatory standpoint, if we know these to be a flawed service, I don't mean flawed in that there's a machine that's broken, but it's flawed in that the accuracy just can't be there because it's a machine versus the necessity for a professional to know what to adjust, what to count, what to time, when to recalibrate, all that sort of thing. What is the Food and Drug Administration's take on these kiosks, and why are they out there?
That is a great question. I'm not so sure I can really answer that to full accuracy. They're there. They're a medical device by and large. But I guess the caveat here, Bob, is just realize that they have limitations and realize that one cuff, this may sound a little bit trite, but one cuff does not fit all. So you need to talk to your healthcare provider and ask him or her, how do I behave or how do I respond to a kiosk reading? Do you recommend that as part of my monitoring of my blood pressure, and get the guidance from them?
And I guess the way to liken it would be to your bathroom scale at home, because every bathroom scale comes out of the factory reading accurate to whatever it's reading accurately to. And I have two bathroom scales. One is upstairs, one is downstairs. They give me different readings. I certainly don't lose or gain weight going up and down the stairs. But then when I get to my doctor's office for my annual physical, the weight is somewhere different than what my two scales have. So while it makes me feel good and helps me track to whatever I'm tracking to, it certainly isn't the official weight. And so I guess the same way could be looked at for these blood pressure machines, where
That's correct,
it's good information and it's great to have, and it might give us an idea of where we're at as far as on this particular day or this particular moment, but it certainly doesn't replace the professional reading.
Right. Wise monitoring of your blood pressure requires blood test and consultation with your doctor and multiple accurate readings of a blood pressure device in the office environment. So it takes more than just a quick stop in front of the outlet to do the kiosk thing. You really got to take some time with blood pressure because it's really important.
I'm going to give you a fastball, and you're going to be able to hit it out of the park
Okay.
here. So your topic, but before we get to it, because we're so quickly running out of time, it's unbelievable. I'm here with Joe Rilanitis, who is the regional representative for the Food and Drug Administration. You can always check out Joe's good information and more at their website at www.fda.gov. And Joe, bottom of the ninth, you're David Ortiz. I'm a AAA pitcher. I'm going to throw you a fastball right down the heart of the plate. Here it is. Hit me with it. What's your favorite topic that's really burning a bubble on you right now?
SPF, sun protection factor.
SPF.
Yes, SPF. Yeah, we've changed the labels. We've updated sunscreens.
It's summer. It's hot.
It is, and that's
People go to the beach.
big time.
Even in Worcester, I'm sure they go outside.
They're outside, and the sunscreen is a real important thing. You're dealing with UVA rays and UVB rays.
Ultraviolet.
Ultraviolet A and B.
Okay.
One ultraviolet A is aging, premature aging of your skin. Ultraviolet B is burning of your skin. They're not the same. Broad spectrum. If you're buying sunscreen, look for broad spectrum on the label. The broad spectrum sunscreen will protect you against UVA rays, Bob, and UVB rays.
I just want to lather up in coconut oil and get a good tan.
And you will do that.
What's all this nonsense about UPC? What are you talking about, really?
We're talking about protection. We're talking about the need to guard against premature aging. And your skin is your biggest organ, and we abuse it and tattoo it and abrase it and beat it and warm it and heat it. We do everything to it.
It's an interesting way to look at it. Yeah, but it is an organ.
It is
part of our body.
It's huge.
We have to take care of it.
You do have to do that. So read the label. Go on the website and protect yourself. Broad spectrum's the way to go. I'm not advertising for a product.
So how do I check out broad spectrum? Is there a
It's
label
labeled.
that says broad spectrum?
It will say that. Not all sunscreens, Bob, will protect you from, say, UVA rays. They won't. But if it's a broad spectrum, which is the way to go here, you'll guard against aging and you'll guard against burning. And as long as you reapply appropriately and understand, sun protection, good eye protection, sunglasses, maybe a floppy hat and cotton clothing, and when to be out in the sun, you can have a real healthy summer.
We have just spent a half hour talking with Joe Rilanitis. I'm going to give you the last word here in a second. We've talked about people medication, pet medication, opioid abuse, blood pressure kiosk, pet food, dog food, cat food, and sunscreen. Last word, but before we do, always go to the FDA.gov website and check out this and any other information currently on the docket by the Food and Drug Administration. Joe, go.
Cats, pets, animals, a big part of your life. They enrich the quality of your life. The FDA is a big government agency, but we care about these fuzzy four-legged friends as well as everybody else does. I know you do, Bob. Remember, you're the advocate for them. Pet medication, do it right. Ask questions to your vet. Dosage levels, take care of the animals. Pet food, proper labeling, complaints, call us up. Go on our website, and complain if you have to. Take care of your animals because they are friends and members of the family too.
And I guess the message is that Joe Rilanitis and the Food and Drug Administration are friends to people and pets alike. Who knew? Now you know because you're viewing Foxborough Central. And if you missed any of this good information, always check us out at fcatv.org for this or any other of our past episodes. You have a message to send to me, maybe you want to be featured on a future episode, or your organization, or have a suggestion, write to me at foxcentral@fcatv.org. Joe Rilanitis, I want to thank you for taking the time to come here to share with us.
Enjoyed it. Great time.
And we enjoyed having you and you. Have a great day, Foxborough. Take care.